Okay, so we're on Test Vav Amud Beis, and let's get on the screen over here. Today's Gemara has nothing to do with anything we learned. There's mamish a sugya that's mamish unrelated. The only reason, actually, the only reason why it comes in is because we had a sugya before, yesterday, or 2 days ago already, that there was a question about Mishnayos in Tamid and Yuma. We had a contradiction, and the Gemara said it was Shimon Hashem Mitzvah, that the Tana of Yuma, we came out, first we thought that it was Tamid, then we came out, no, it's Yuma, that Shimon Hashem Mitzvah, and he's the Tana, he's the author. And that was in order to answer a contradiction. And here, there's going to be the same pattern, but nothing to do with our subject at all. There's going to be a contradiction between two Mishnayos, two Masechtas, and the Gemara is going to say that the author of that Masechta is a certain person, Rav Eliezer ben Yaakov. So because of that pattern, that the Gemara, so we got a whole sugya about two daf coming up. A whole, if anything, if anybody is not in the sugya that we learned, so it's no difference. This is a sugya for itself. Welcome everybody, a new sugya, and it's not unrelated to anything we learned before. Yeah, very much to do with the Beis Hamikdash, but nothing to do with anything we learned before about Yom Kippur, nothing about Yom Kippur, nothing about the sugyas we learned about the Talmud. So the Gemara starts over here.
Excuse me, before you start, I do have pictures of the Lishkos. I don't know if do you have, if you want to see them or not.
As we're going, I have pictures to somehow,
Okay.
If yours at the end, if at any time that it's not clear, so then I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, we're about, how is it, about 15 lines from the bottom, Tanan Hasan. So this is a Mishnah in Tamid, a Mishnah Mesechus Tamid. So over there it's talking about the Seder Tamid, like the name of the Mesechta Tamid, and it means the daily routine of how things were done in the Beis Hamikdash. So there was a Kohanim that was sleeping in the Beis Hamikdash, and the Beis Hamokeh that had a place to sleep, the ones who were on the deck for tomorrow's Avodah. So the Mamuni is the one in charge, telling everybody what to do. So he told the Kohanim that are working today, go and bring a sheep from the chamber of the sheep. And he instructs them which chamber to go to. And he directed them, showed them where to go, that the chamber of the sheep, they had a chamber where they had prepared sheep that were inspected and kosher, had no blemish. And they put the sheep over there. And that's the place he's supposed to go to get the korban tamid. And it says the lishka is in the northwestern corner. So
we spoke about northeast. Oh, that's different. That's how different. Yeah, that's the Mizbech.
No connection, no connection. So to get some diagrams over here. So we have to just get the diagrams. Okay. The diagram is showing, right? The diagram is on the screen.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So this is the Mikdash. The top is the west. The Beis Hamikdash is on the west, and one of the chambers is called Lishkas Beis Hamokeh. That's on the northern side over here, and this is the Lishkas Beis Hamokeh. If anybody wants to see the screen over here, so welcome to come. Okay, so there's the Lishkas Beis Hamokeh. Let's move some things away. They shall have to have more room. Okay, that's the Lishkas Beis Hamokeh, and in the Lishkas Beis Hamokeh, the word itself here says Beis Hamokeh, and it had four small chambers. It has four small chambers in this big chamber that have four in the four corners. Each one has a small chamber. And he told them that it's in the northwestern corner. The diagram shows that it's in the southwestern corner. That's going to be the contradiction. This diagram is based on Maseches Midos, but so far Maseches Tamid it says that Lishkas Atlam was in the southwestern, in the northwestern corner. Here it says that here this is the southwest, but here we just learned that he told them that the Mamuna told the Kohanim to go to the Beis Hamokeh and get the sheep. It's in the northwestern corner. Okay, we go further. If it's okay that I won't put on the Gemara the whole time because it's going to be too much back and forth, but I don't think I could juggle both of them. So if it's better, if everybody has a Gemara, if everybody has a Gemara, so then it's better to be able to just keep the diagram on the screen. So I'm sorry, I just lost the place in my Gemara a second. Okay, so the Mishnah continues. We're about 10 lines from the bottom. It tells you what the four chambers of the four corners were used for. And it says one of them was the chamber of the sheep, which we just spoke about. One of them was a chamber of the chosamos. We had that in Masechah Shkolim. We spoke about if you wanted to buy Minchas Nesachim, the meal offering or the wine for libation, you'd go to the Yochanan, I think his name was, and you'd buy the ticket that you need for whatever carbon you need, Egel, Taleh, whatever. I'm sorry, over there it says Egel, Gedi, Zohar, Chote, whatever you needed, and he would give you the coupon, the ticket. You'd go to the other place where they have their merchandise and they would buy. So that was the lishka where you'd go to the cashier to pay for the tickets. Achas lishkas based on moke. There was a place where it was a heating room. They had a moke, they had a fire over there. The Kohanim were cold. They went to be barefoot on the marble floor, so they had a place where they could heat up. And achas lishkas she'osim balachem apanim. One was the bakery where they would bake the bread of lachem apanim. There's Gamu, Rashi brings down. We had that in Masechah Shkolim also. It doesn't tell you the location of each one of them, but it just tells you one of them that the northwest was the chamber of the sheep. And now comes the question, contradiction. Verminu akasha from Maseches Midos. The next one, the Vitel now Maseches Tamid. And in Maseches Midos, it also talks about this chamber. Over there, Midos is about the structure of the Beis Hamikdash, and it says that this chamber, the Beis Hamoked, the big one, the whole thing is called the Beis Hamoked, and one of these four in particular is called the Beis Hamoked Akatan. It was a small place where they had a fire. But the Kasha is over there, says that the Tloim says now it's going to be in the southwestern corner, like our diagram shows. There were four small rooms within the big room. That two of them were in the Azara, as we see under the diagram, and two of them were outside on the Har Bayis. And they were not considered Kodesh. You'd be allowed to sit down over there.
Because we'd go enter into the wall. If it's indented in the wall, so there's outside.
It wasn't indented. It could stay indented, but it was much bigger than the wall. The wall is however thick the wall was. But this was a whole big room. So half of it was on the side. The picture has it over here. This picture over here.
Oh, that's what we're talking
about. So we said, and you had some kind of a markers, pieces of wood that would mark in the inside the room to know where's Kodesh, where's Chol. You have to know if you're standing in the Kodesh or in the Chol. What were the purpose of these four chambers? My Rav is drum. That's the kasha already. We can stop here. The kasha here, it says that the southwestern one was for the sheep. And the Mishnah said that it was in the northwest. That's the kasha. We're going to continue the whole Mishnah already, but our kasha is already over. That here it says it was in the southwest, and before it says, well, the northwest. The Bryce continues to tell you the other two chambers. It also tells you some of them are going to be different functions that are said in the other Mishnah that the Gemara is not going to get involved in. There might be other contradictions also, or another contradiction will say that some of that had two functions. It might be multifunctional. But there'll be something later on that might compare the four chambers. That's it says here than it says before, but we're not interested in that right now. We have a contradiction already that Lishkas Hatlaim, the chamber of the sheep, wasn't in the northwest or the southwest. The Brisa continues, top line. The Mishnah continues, top line. Domus Mizrachas He Lishkas Shal Yoasin Bolachem upon him. The southeast. That's on the diagram. That would be by us, the bottom left. Southeast, right. That was where they made the lechem upon him. Mizrachas phone is Bob Gonzo Beis Chashmonai of the Mizbeach Sheshitz Malchi Goyim, and northwest. That's the bottom right over here. North, what is that? Northeast. I'm sorry. That's the place where the Chashmonaim they made a geniza for the stones that the kings of the Goyish kings, the Greek kings, had defiled the stones of the Mizbeach, and they made a geniza over there. And Sfonis Marov is and the northwest was the staircase to go down to the mikvah. There was a mikvah, but you had to go down. So there was the stairwell to go down to the Beis Tefillah. All that is beautiful. We have to know it, and it's going to be contradictions. But all interesting one contradiction is that was the Tloim in the southwest or in the northwest. Amrav Huna, Mantana Midos of Elazar ben Yaakov. He said, in order to answer the contradiction, we say that there are two different opinions. It's a machlokes. It's not a contradiction, it's a machlokes. And the author of Maseches Midos is of Elazar ben Yaakov. And that's the answer, that the machlokes, the Mishnah of Maseches Tamid holds that it was in the northwest. And Maseches Midos says it was in the southwest, as of Elazar ben Yaakov. That's the answer. Now the Gemara is going to go with length to prove from other places that the author of the Maseches Midos is Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. And now we're going to another subject. Very beautiful today. We're going all about the Beis Hamikdash, different parts of the Beis Hamikdash. We just learned about the Lishkas Beis Hamoked, the different functions, maybe multifunctional for some of them, and also Machlokis, where exactly the Lishkas Athlon was. And now we're going different part of the tour of the Beis Hamikdash. We're going to the Ezras Nashim. So on the diagram, you see that there are two courtyards. The inner courtyard is the main courtyard, and that's where the Beis Hamikdash is and the Mizbeach. But the outer courtyard is called the Ezras Nashim, and men were allowed to go there also. It's not like today called Ezras Nashim. It's only for the women. It means the woman, that's as far as women were allowed to go. Then, as you see, once you go further into the Ezras Yisrael, this Ezras Yisrael, this is Kohanim, means women are allowed to go in the outer courtyard, up the steps over here, and then the Yisraelim, the men are allowed to go another 11 amos, we'll see soon, and then the Kohanim another 11 amos, unless they have to do avodah, then they go further in. But now we're concentrating on the Ezras Nashim, and also you see here, there also are 4 chambers, the same thing as the Beshkas Beis Hamoked had 4 chambers, so also the Ezras Nashim had 4, of course much bigger, but this Mishnah,
and it's 4 corners.
each corner had a different chamber, and now the Mishnah in Maseches Midos talks about what the function of each of these chambers was. It starts with the bottom left. It starts with what we call that southeast, and that's what the Mishnah talks about now.
What's the name?
What?
What's the name of it?
We're going to see. It says it's just on the Nazirim, but that's what we're going to learn now. It says here the Tanan Ezras Nashim. The dimensions of the whole Ezras Nashim was 135 by 135. There were 4 chambers in the 4 corners. What was the functions of each of these small chambers? So it starts from the southeast. As you see, just we make it bigger over here. That was the Lishkas and Nazirim. The Nazirim, a Nazir, that he had to bring a korban at the end of his Nazir, so he would bring it over. He would that would be the place where he would cook the korban. The korban was supposed to be cooked after it was a korban, after it was made as a korban, so the meat was cooked. And also he cut his hair over there and he put it onto the fire, like the pasuk says. That was the place where the Nazirim would cook their korban shlomim after it was brought as a korban, and then they would cut their hair and put their hair into the fire. Tachas hadud. Okay, that's what that. Not too many details, but that was what the southeastern chamber was. Going now to the.
That's the whole Lishkatas and Nazirim.
Yes. Then we go to
What do you
the
call that south, what?
southeast. Southeast. Now we go to the northeast. That would be the woodshed, the place where the Kohanim, even Kohanim Bali Mumin, even Belamish Kohanim are allowed to do that avodah also. They can't do avodah, but this they could do. They could check the wood that it's kosher. What does a kosher wood mean? That it doesn't have any worms. Any wood that has any worm in it, so you're not allowed to use it for the Mizbeach. So that was the purpose of that function of that Lishka. Then we go further to the northwest, and that's called Lishkas HaMasaran. He always said Lishka HaMasaran, and it doesn't say what he did over there. Rashi brings down there was a mikvah. Even in the diagram they showed the mikvah also. And the Mitzorah, after he became Torah from his Tzaras, and he has a whole 7-day process of becoming Torah, and then on the 8th day, he has to go to the Beis Hamikdash, and he goes to the mikvah again. And I don't know why he needed a special Lishka for him. Maybe we'll see later on. But that was called Lishkas HaMasaran. So up
Maybe
to,
so he doesn't contaminate people. Oh, we're not worried about
he already had the mikvah yesterday, 7 days. So I don't think
he's
so.
already at the end of the process.
Okay, but before he goes into the Beis Hamikdash as on the 8th day, so then he has to go to the mikvah again, and that was the mikvah in that Lishka. Now we're up to the southwest. My brother's Dromis. I'm Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. Shechachti ma'aseh mishameshes. He's Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. I forgot what it's for. I forgot its function. So the fact that somebody spoke up and said, I forgot. If you don't know, so you don't say. What do you have to say? I forgot. That means he was the one who was talking until now. He was talking, and that's why that's the proof of the Gemara that the Tana of Rabbi Elazar of Midas is Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. And when he doesn't know something, he has to say, I don't know. So that's the proof that the fact that Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov spoke up and said that I don't know, that means that he was talking until now.
And he knew everything else. But
Yes, and he said everything else.
Yeah, nice.
The Gemara,
No,
the Mishnah does continue.
Shows
that
humility. He was willing to embarrass himself.
he said, "Oh, Maseches Midas," and then he says he doesn't know. What you say? He can't make up if he doesn't know. He doesn't know. But Abba Shaul continues and says he does know. Abba Shaul Omer, "Lo yinosin yain v'shaman v'yais and nikreis lishkas beishmanya." They used to store the oil and the wine over there, and that's what the chart shows over there. Lishkas ashmanim, and that was the storage place to put the wine and the oil that was used for Nesachim. But anyway, what do we see? That Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov said, I don't know. If he says he doesn't know, he's the stam author of Maseches Midos. So back to the kasha, we had a contradiction. Where's the Lishkas Hatlan? And there was a contradiction between Talmud and Midos. So we said that as we see, the Tana of Midos is Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. So fine, the Tana that says that it's in the southwest is Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. The Mishnah Talmud argues and says that it was in the northwest. Another proof. So we're going to go on more of a tour of the Beis Hamikdash and find other subjects also to show.
Excuse me, I have a question about those the lishkas where the Tolaim is. If it's in the difference between the nafka mina, if it's in the south or in the north, is going to be whether it's kodosh or not, because the line over there. Did we get to that yet or not?
It happens to be also, but that wasn't emphasized by the Gemara. The Gemara doesn't seem to make a difference if it was kodesh or chol. The question was, where was it? You're saying that you're pointing out that one was kodesh, one was chol.
I forget what it is in your diagram. Is it that white line? Would that be the line of from the white line to the right would be chol? Is that correct?
A black line. The black line here.
Well, the black. No, outside all the lishkos.
No, that's already just outside. The black line is the wall. So
So I thought from outside of that wall would be chol.
No. Okay, fine. Also good. Won't get into it now. It's not the subject. And
okay.
Inherent difference happens. It's true what you're saying, that on the southwest was kodesh and the northwest was chol, but it doesn't seem to be that was the machlokes. The point is, where was it located? That's the machlokes.
Okay.
Where was it located? Where was it?
It was oil. It was the wine for libations, and according to Abu Shaul.
Yes.
And what
yes.
else? And
oil and wine.
Oil for?
Oil for the menachos. So now the Gemara goes on to a whole new subject, also to prove that the Tana, the author of the Mishnah's Midos, is Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. And a little preview, maybe it'll help to get into the Gemara. The diagram here, you have it maybe also, it's on the screen if you want. The diagram is showing a southern view of the Beis Hamikdash. And the issue is that the Kohen, when they do the Paraduma, so they're on Har HaZeisim. Paraduma is not done in the Beis Hamikdash. The Paraduma is done, we had a few times that a bridge even going out, it was done in Har HaZeisim. On Mount of Olives, which is east of the Makom HaMikdash. And it says in the pasuk he's supposed to sprinkle once he shucks the paraduma outside. It's not a korban. He shucks it outside in Har HaZeisim. It's not a korban. And he sprinkles the blood. Nochach Pesach Ol Moed. The Kohen who did that, he sprinkled the blood opposite the Pesach Ol Moed. So the Pesach Ol Moed, the Gemara learns that it has to be that there's no block between where he's sprinkling it and the Pesach Ol Moed. So the fact that the Gemara is going to make a whole cheshbon, I don't think it means he has to mamash see. It's quite far away, and I don't think he sees. But the point is that nothing should be blocking. It has to be a straight line that will not be blocked between the Kohen, who's sprinkling the blood, and the Pesach Ol Moed. The Mishnah is going to say that in order that there should be a straight line without any block, nothing interfering between the Kohen on Har HaZeisim and the Pesach Ol Moed, it was necessary to shorten the eastern wall. The eastern wall of Har HaBayis around the Temple Mount had to be shortened, or else through the doorway you wouldn't have been able to see. So if you look at the diagram, just maybe this diagram will help. I'll show on the bottom diagram. There are two diagrams. It says the first one is according to Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, the bottom one is according to the rabbis, the Chachamim. So there's a line over there. The dotted line is showing the possible. If you go on the eastern gateway, that was the gate, the opening of the gateway, and then on top of it was the wall. The wall.
Oh, the black is the wall.
The black is the wall.
Is the
and the Pesach, it was 20 amas high. The height of all the Sha'arim was 20 amas high. That's about 10 meters high. And then the wall went on top. The wall was higher. You have a Pesach, and not like not like Sha'ar Yafa, that they broke open the whole thing till the top. That's not a regular thing. Usually you have a gateway and the wall goes on top. So it says that they had to shorten the wall. Why? Because they wouldn't be able to make a straight line of vision that would go from Har HaZeisim and be able to go through to the Pesach Heichel. And that's what the Gemara is going to try to work out. Why not? So the point is going to be that the Har HaBayis, the Temple Mount, and the Mikdash itself was built on a slope. A mountain is not a flat. It wasn't at the top, the place where the Har HaBayis was, with the Mikdash, that they flattened out the whole area. It wasn't flat. It went on an incline, and every so often there were steps to go higher. The terrain of the Beis Hamikdash was on a slope, and it went higher. So the point that the Gemara is going to be working out is how much higher was the floor of the Beis Hamikdash than the floor of Temple Mount. Means when the gate that we'll talk, the eastern gate of Har HaBayis, was on the floor of Har HaBayis, right? That's the floor. And then as you went closer to the Heichal, the level, the floor level, got elevated because there was on a slope and there were steps. And it's going to make a cheshbon of all the steps. There are three sets of steps. There's going to be all the steps were made. Each step was a half an amma. The height of each step was a half an amma. An amma is about a half a meter, about a quarter of a meter, 25 centimeter. That was the level of a step. And it says there were 12 steps. Then it says there were 15 steps. And then it says there were another 12 steps. So that's 6 amos, and then another 7.5 amos, and then another 6 amos. And that brings you to a total of 19.5. 19.5 amos means that, right? 6, another 7.5 is 13.5. Another 6 is 19.5.
Right.
So
that's to make room for the steps.
to make room for the steps. What do you mean?
Height.
The steps
elevation.
elevated according to the terrain.
Right.
And it says 12 steps. That meant that it was elevated 6 amos, another 7.5 amos, another 6 amos. Altogether, the floor of the Heichal was 19.5 amos higher than the floor of the Har HaBayis. So the Gemara's cheshbon is that if the gate was 20 amos high, so why are you saying there's no line of vision? There's a line of vision because the top half amma was not blunt. If there would be, the Kohen would be on Har HaZeisim, there is a straight line that nothing's blocking until the floor of the Heichal, because that top half amma that is open in the Pesach Har HaBayis is a straight line that could take you to the floor of Har HaBayis. That's going to be the Gemara's kasha, and the Gemara is going to find that if Lezer ben Yaakov feels a little different, and that's going to save the day. Why? That's going to explain how come there was no line, the line of vision was broken, and therefore they had to make the eastern wall shorter. That's in general introduction what the Gemara is going to do now. So if we see the last narrow line in the Gemara, the Tanan, all of the walls of the Har HaBayis, all on all sides were very tall, very tall.
What's the beginning line? Sorry,
First white line.
First one.
The eastern wall of Har HaBayis was shorter than the rest of the walls of Har HaBayis. Sha'kohen, why? Sha'kohen asar v'sapora omid bar mishcha u'mechaven beroa keneged pischa shalecha b'shas adas adam. That the Kohen that burns the paraduma, when it happens, when the Kohen is going to burn the paraduma, he stands in Har HaZeisim, Har Mishcha Har HaZeisim, Mount of Olives, and he directs and he sees. He doesn't have to actually see, I think, but it means that he's focusing that his sprinkling of the blood is keneged Pesach Hol Moed. Keneged pischa shalecha, when he sprinkles the blood. So
that's
Hamishcha. Yeah.
Hamishcha is wine, is oil.
So in order that there should be a straight line of vision from Har HaZeisim until the Pesach HaEichel, he had to lower the eastern wall. And now the Gemara is going to cheshbon, why did he have to lower the eastern wall? He could have seen also l'chora through the Pesach. It was a straight line of vision even through the door if he wouldn't have lowered the eastern wall. Now we're going to start. All of the gateways in the base of Mikdash, the height was 20 amos and the width was 10 amos. We're interested in the height. The Mishnah is telling, it's being different Mishnah, just a few words Mishnah to tell you as you went in through the eastern gate what you would meet. First, you met a soreg. Here is on the diagram is a soreg. A soreg means a fence. There was a fence. It was a low fence. That doesn't make a difference in the cheshbon we're doing over here. But after the fence was called the chel. The chel is an area of 10 amos, and in those 10 amos there were 12 steps. That's the point we're looking at. There were 12 steps, and each step was a half amma elevated. So it comes out the 6 amos elevation. What does it say? It says after the soreg was the place called the chel. Eser amos, that was a place that was 10 amos inward, whatever, flat. But in those 10 amos, there was 12 steps in that area of the chel. The height of each step was a half an amma, and also the landing. The landing of the step was a half an amma. We care about the height. We're not interested now in how long the step was. We care about how high the step was. So that means there were 12 steps. Each one was 6 amos. So that's what the diagram shows, that there was elevation of 6 amos from the floor of the Har HaBayis. Then further, as you go in,
the chel was on the wall. It's on the outside.
A chel is an area. A soreg is a fence. After the fence is an area that's 10 amos. That's called the chel. That's the area, an open area that's called the chel. And
outside the wall.
Outside which wall?
I thought we were talking about a wall here. Where's the chel? I'm trying to understand.
After the soreg, after the soreg, you see the word soreg? You can't.
I'm in two places. I'm
So
trying.
if you
Yeah,
look on the
sorry, I
di-
got sorry.
So
Yeah,
you look on the diagram. If you look at your screen,
yeah.
so do you see the word soreg over there in English? SOREG. You see my pointer?
Yeah.
So that's a soreg.
Ah,
So that's a little fence. That doesn't sound our subject at all. But after the soreg, the next area you see it says chel.
yeah.
This area, that area is called chel. Within the chel, there's a 12 amas going up, 12 steps, which is 6 amas elevation. Okay, fine. Now we came to that's the wall now of the.
Why I'm saying wall? Because there's a gate. If there's a gate, there's also a wall.
Which gate?
The gate is that up the gateway. On top of the gateway is a wall. This gateway is tamid to the chel.
Fine, that's not bothering us. There's plenty of room. There's the entrance over there. You see that the line of vision was
Right,
still carrying straight. That's okay.
I get the opening, so you can see through.
We just want to know our interest is to see how much the floor is getting elevated at each point. It gets so far elevated 6 amas. Now you're in the Ezras Nashim, as you see, you're in the Ezras Nashim now, and you go till the end of the Ezras Nashim. Then to get into the Ezras Yisrael, there's another 15 steps. That's the famous Sir Malos. That's the 15
they would
steps.
sing. They were the singers were.
Levin. No. Yes, but only Sofas Beis HaSheva.
Only once a year?
Only those days of the Sofas Beis HaSheva.
Not during the Avodah.
They were inside the Mikdash, not in the Ezras Nashim.
All 15 steps is only for one day of the year.
Not
1 week
the
a year.
Holomoid, during the days of the Sofas Beis HaSheva.
Yeah, you know.
Then Tesva Malos, Olos Mitocha, Yardos Mi Ezras Yisrael Ezras Nashim. Afterwards, there were 15 steps that are between. They go down from the Ezras Yisrael. Ezras Yisrael is on top. The beginning of the inside the Azara is called Ezras Yisrael, the first, and to get up from the Ezras Nashim to go to the
So
Ezras
that's the
Yisrael
extra 7.5 amos.
was 15 steps. Again, Rum Malachatz Yama, V'Shulcha Chatz Yama. The height of each step was a half an amma, and then the landing was a half amma. We want the height. That means 15 steps, and each one is a half amma. That's 7.5.
Plus
So
6
altogether,
is 13.
so now we got the 13.5 amas. The next, Utanan, Ben Ulam, as you go further in the Azara, in the courtyard, you get after the Mizbeach, and you get to the Ulam, and then to get from between the Mizbeach, doesn't show you the Mizbeach on this picture, but then to get up until the Ulam, here it shows you the Ulam, the antechamber. So then there's another 12 steps. First Chabei Zama. Chabei Zama just means the distance of between the Mizbeach on the floor. There was a 22 amas distance. That's not our subject. But there were 12 steps to get up to the Ulam. Rum Malachatz Yama, V'Shulcha Chatz Yama. Again, the height of each step was a half an amma. Also was a landing was an half an amma. Also not a subject. That was another 12 steps, giving you another total of another 6 amas height. And altogether, after the level that was 13.5 amas plus another, it brought you to 19.5 amas. So at this point, we don't have a reason why the Kohen could not have a straight line of vision that goes through the eastern gate, even if they didn't make it shorter. Through the Pesach on the bottom of the inside the entrance, you could have had a straight line of vision that still met the floor of the Ayechel. So there's no reason to shorten the eastern wall. But now we look at the diagram A, just to go flip up to the diagram A, and that shows why Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov has a difference, and that is in the Azara. So he holds that it went up before we had 6 and then 13.5, and then we said
it stays
went
the
up
same.
19.
It stays the same until the Heichel.
But he has one more amma. That's the point. That after the Ezras Yisrael, Ezras Yisrael is the first 11 ammas that the Shalom allowed to stand over there, and then goes the Ezras Kohen, and he says that there was an elevation over there.
Of another amma.
That another amma. So according to him, it makes sense because according to him, everything is 1 amma higher, and then that's going to make that it will be 20.5. So then, as they showed that this, what do they show that the dotted line depicts the site? No, I'm sorry. The broken line depicts the line of sight through the eastern gateway, and here you see that this broken line didn't make it. It didn't make it to the floor of the Heichel. It was blocked. So therefore, you have to shorten the eastern wall. The eastern wall of the Temple Mount was shortened, and therefore there is a line of vision that he could see, and he would make it into the Heichel. That's what the Gemara is going to say, that the Mishnah in Midos that says you shorten the eastern wall must be going according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, that says that Ezras Kohen was elevated 1 amma more than the Ezras Yisrael, which changed the whole picture of how high the floor of the Heichel was, 1 more amma, and therefore it was blocked, and you had to shorten the eastern wall. That's
in other words, it wasn't through the gateway. It was the wall. He was going to see on top of the wall. He had to be able to see because he was so low.
He has to
over there in the east.
Again. He had to shorten. They had to shorten the eastern gateway because he would not have been able to see it through the gateway. According to Rabbanan, he was able to see it.
He would not be able to see it through the gateway. I see. And they couldn't raise the gateway. They wanted to lower the wall. That was
right. Maybe Yaakov is pointing out that they're simple eight, so why not just make the
Make
gateway a
it-
bit bigger?
yeah.
It seems not. It seems you have to make it more than, it has to be a 20 amas daf. You can't make it 21, 22 amas. So that's a nice point. So the gateway couldn't be bigger than 20 amas. So therefore, they couldn't make it through the gateway, so they had to make the top of the wall short in order that the Kohen should be able to have the line of vision above the gate, above the
Above
wall.
the gate, but all the other visions are through gateways.
Yeah, that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah, I see.
The Gemara doesn't. The picture is cheshboning also to show you that those other gateways also had a maximum. The Gemara doesn't talk about that. They would have made it. It would have cleared everything.
Were
But,
these gates always open?
it doesn't.
Doesn't
make a
really matter
difference,
to us.
probably. It probably doesn't make a difference. But
We just want to know that it's possible to see.
at least when they did maybe when they did the paraduma, they did have to open all of them. Probably. I could say maybe. I don't know.
Uh-huh. For the
Okay.
tickets that they have.
Yeah. So now the Gemara brings in Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, who's going to say that Ezra's Kohanim was not one amma elevated. Therefore, it makes sense that they could not have had a line of vision through the eastern gateway. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov Omer, this is a Mishnah also in Midos, but it says his name. And now we're going to say that the other Mishnah is also must have been Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov that says that the eastern gate, the Stam Mishnah and Midos are going in his opinion that you have to make the eastern gateway short, eastern wall shorter. What does he say? He said that after the Ezra Yisrael, which on the diagram, after you come into the Azara, to the courtyard, so the first 11 amas is Ezra Yisrael, and then he says there's another elevation of 1 amma. On that one, he also points out that there was a platform that had another 3 steps, but that Rashi seems to say that those 3 steps maybe were, wasn't the terrain, it was built platform that had 3 steps, and then the Duchan was the top, seems to be the top of that, and that's what the Levium would say. This is what the Levium said, so that this was on the Duchan. The Duchan is a platform that they had in between the Ezra Yisrael and the Ezra Kohanim. The Levium would be, then they would say Shira by the Korbanos. And Rashi says that this extra amma and a half, this 3 steps, each one was half amma, that doesn't change the terrain. That was probably like went up 3 steps, went down 3 steps again. That didn't change anything. But the terrain itself was elevated by 1 amma. And that's what the Gemara wants now. We have all the information. So according to Elazar ben Yaakov, it makes sense why there was a line division was broken, and you wouldn't have made it to see the floor of the Heichal. You had to make the eastern gate shorter. But according to Rabbanan, it wouldn't have been necessary. Now the Gemara is explaining what we just said. If the Stam Mishnah that says in Mesechus Midas is Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, so it makes sense that they had to shorten the eastern wall. I know that the Pesach Heichal was covered up by the elevation. The elevation of the terrain caused that the line of vision would be broken, and you had to therefore make the eastern wall shorter. But if you say according to Rabbanan, they could have, nothing was broken. They could have seen. There was a line of vision that went straight into the floor of the Heichal. There was half amas still left that the Pesach Heichal would have been visible. So it must be that the Mishnah is of Midas is of Elazar ben Yaakov. So we had 2 proofs. This is one proof. The fact that the eastern gate was shorter, that must be of Elazar ben Yaakov. And the other proof we had before was because he said, I don't know what the southeastern purpose of the southwestern Lishka was used for. In fact, he said he doesn't know. So that must be that he's talking. That also shows Elazar ben Yaakov. Based on that, we explained that
Sefer Midas was written by Rabbi Eliezer ben
and
Yaakov.
therefore, when you have the contradiction of where the Lishka Satloim is, so we're okay. That he says it was the southwest, the other says it was the northwest, not locus. The Gemara is going to continue a further tour about the Beis Hamikdash, and that's going to be where the Mizbeach was. And what the Gemara is going to do now is going to say, try to disprove the proof that the Gemara just showed, that the only reason you'd have to make the eastern gate shorter is only according to Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, because of the elevation of 1 amma. The Gemara is going to say I have another pshat. Another way, I could say really it's not that. That proof alone wouldn't have convinced me. I could say that really the Mishnah Midos is not necessarily Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. And just to see the next diagram, maybe the reason why there was a blocked vision is because the Mizbeach was in the way. And that picture shows over here, again, the broken line is the side through the eastern gateway. So even if you make it only 6 and then 7, 13 and a half, not 14 and a half, also it would have been blocked because the Mizbeach was right there. The Mizbeach was 9 amas tall. Besides the corners were 1 amma, but only the corners. But the Mizbeach itself was 1, 5, and 3. That's 9 amas. So here it is, that the line of vision was blocked by the Mizbeach. That's the reason why they couldn't have seen through the gateway, and you have to make the gateway shorter. So it has nothing to do with Elazar ben Yaakov. But the Gemara says, the Gemara is pointing out it depends where the location of the Mizbeach was in relation to the Heichal, to the Heichal. the shower Heichel? Was it right in front of it? As the next picture shows, that the possibility, like if you look at that regular picture,
Okay.
just to go back a second, what is all this? What am I doing here? I got something wrong here. Okay. Yeah, if you look at the standard picture that we always see, doesn't put the mizbeach in the center. If you see the picture, this is our picture. The mizbeach is not centered, and therefore wouldn't have blocked. The cheshbon wouldn't have blocked. But the
Rabbi, it does get in the way. I'm sorry. I see the gates of the Heichal, and yes, I see the Mizbech there.
But there's enough that the mizbeach is indented. Rashi makes the cheshbon to show that if it wouldn't be centered, you would be able to have a straight line of vision. The Gemara doesn't go into those details. Rashi does.
The only thing you have is the what's it called, the tapuach in the middle, which goes up extra. That you do avoid.
I'm not sure what you mean to say. No, the mizbeach wouldn't have been blocking. That's what the Gemara is going to say. That the mizbeach wouldn't have been blocking if it'd be off to the side. Only if it's directly opposite, which is going to be now the opinion. This picture on the diagram A here, it shows that the mizbeach was mamish opposite the Eichel, then it's blocking. And that if it was blocking, Rashi,
so the tapuach is in the middle. That little
the
black.
tapuach doesn't mean anything. That tapuach is not the point.
It's high. It has elevation.
That's not a building. That's not the point. That's not the point. That's not the point.
Okay.
The point is that the whole mizbeach wouldn't have been any place that you would have a straight line of vision. Doesn't have to be the center. Any place on the mizbeach. The mizbeach itself is 9 amos high, like you see in this diagram here. On the diagram B, it shows that the mizbeach, not the top of the mizbeach would have been blocked by the 6 amos line already. The mizbeach is 9 amos, and it would have blocked you have 13 and a half amos, and the mizbeach is another 9 amos. It's already 20. It's ready. 13 and a half plus 9 is 22 and a half. So it would have been.
13 and a half
So
plus
it would've been
9,
blocked.
yeah, I see.
So that's what the Gemara is going to say. That if according to Rabbi Yehuda, that holds the mizbeach was centered, so then it was mamish aligned opposite the Pesach HaEichel, so then it would have blocked. And that's what the Gemara is suggesting, that who says it has to be Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, that the elevation, that it was elevated 1 more because the Ezra Barnum was higher. It could even be according to Rabbanan. And the mizbeach was, if the Mishnah of Midos holds like Rabbi Yehuda, so the mizbeach was centered, and it was blocking the vision of the Kohen from Har HaZeisim. That's the cheshbon. As the picture shows, the diagram shows, the picture that shows that the mizbeach, how it would look if it would have been centered. I think that's my last picture over here. No, one more picture coming up, but that's what the Gemara is going to be explaining now. So we start one line up from the bottom. Ravada Barava Omer Hamani Rav Yehudi. Not necessarily do you have to say it's Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, but could be that it's Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that the mizbeach was centered. The Tanya Yehuda Omer Mizbeach Mutzav Omer B'Emsara. The Mizbeach was it's centered. It was in the middle of the courtyard. That means from the north to the south, it was centered, like this diagram over here. And Ushloshim Ushtayim Am was Sayulo. The Mizbeach was 32. That was days. The Gemara is going to show, and I'll just say it outside, then we'll see it inside, that you see in the diagram how the Mizbeach was mamish aligned opposite the Heichal. So if you see that the Pesach HaEichel, the Pesach HaUlam was 20 amos, but that's not our subject. The Pesach HaEichel, the entrance into the actual Beis HaMikdash was 10 amos, and the Heichel itself was 20 amos. Means when you went inside, you went a doorway, there was a narrow door, not narrow, but it wasn't the whole width of the Heichel, there was a doorway. So you went into the 10 amos doorway, and then you had 5 amos on either side. And then also the thickness of the wall on either side was 6 amos. So you have 20, and another 12, 6 and 6 is 32. So they saw the Mizbeach was 32. So the Mizbeach was mamish aligned opposite the Heichel and its walls. Top line of the Gemara, Es Amos Keneged Pesach Shel Heichel. The 10 center amos was opposite the middle, the Pesach of the Heichel, the entrance of the Heichel, and then Yud Aleph Tzafon, Yud Aleph Amal Doram, and also another 11 on each side, which meant the 6 and the 5 the walls. Nimsa Mizbeach Keneged Pesach Aleph. The Mizbeach was aligned perfectly opposite, corresponding to the Heichel and its walls.
Where's the 11s? I'm sorry, from which side from? Oh, no, I'm missing something. 11 on both sides of what?
If you see the diagram,
Yeah,
so they have the Heichel is 20 amos.
Yes.
Or they'll do it differently. Do it the Pesach Heichel is 10 amos.
Yeah.
And plus on either side you have a 6 and a 5. The 5 is the wall.
Right.
And then there's another 6 amos of the thickness of the side wall.
Okay.
So altogether it's 32.
11, 11, and 10. Right.
And that's opposite. You see the corresponding to the Mizbech. The Mizbech was 32, and Mamish corresponded exactly the Heichel and its walls.
So it is central.
That's what we're talking.
That's
This is-
the
this is
problem with
Rabbi
Rabbi Yehuda. You would have been
So
11.
it's not a problem. It's going to say that. I mean, the problem means it's going to block the vision. That's what he's saying. It's a
Yes,
problem, and therefore the Mishnah could be according to him. That's why you have to lower the eastern wall.
Mm.
That's the Gemara's answer. So the Gemara, not the answer. That's how the Gemara tries to knock down the proof. We brought a proof that the Mishnah in Midos must be of Elizabeth Yaakov, because that's why you have to shorten the eastern wall, because you could not see through the gate because the terrain got higher by 1 amma. But who says? Maybe it goes according to Rabbanan, but Abuda is the Tana of Midos, and the Mizbeach was centered, and therefore the Mizbeach was blocking. So we knocked down the proof. That's a Elizabeth Yaakov. But the more now in the third line is going to revive the proof. The proof is a good proof, and we're going to prove that it's very nice. It's true. According to Rabbi Yehuda, he would have to hold that the eastern wall was short. But we're going to show that the Tana of Midos, Masech of Midos, doesn't hold like Rabbi Yehuda at this point. It's going to show that the Mizbeach, according to the Tana of the Mishnah of Midos, was not centered. The Mizbeach was not centered. It was off to the south. And what's the Mishnah going to do? It's going to bring. What's the Gemara going to do? It's going to bring a Mishnah which has the dimensions of all the dimensions of the Beis Hamikdash, and we're going to see that the Mizbeach is not centered. So we start, and we're going to have a lot of more information. We're going now in the tour, general tour of the Beis Hamikdash now, not about anything specific, about the whole, whatever is contained in the Azara. So we're looking at not Ezra, we did Ezra's Nashim before. Now we're doing the Azara itself, and it says that the dimensions are 187 by 135. Again, the width is again 135, as we said before. The Ezra's Nashim was 135 by 135. The Azara itself was 135 wide from north to south, and 187 from west to east.
Meaning it's longer from west
Yes,
to east.
as you see on the diagram. The one says on third line. You want to say the author of Mesechus Midos is Rabbi Yehuda, and the Mizbeach is in the middle? It doesn't fit. You can't find in Mesechus Midos, according to the Cheshbonos of Mesechus Midos, you can't come out with the Mizbeach is in the middle, centered. Mishnah and Midos. The dimensions of the Beis Hamikdash, of the courtyard, were 187 by 135. And now it's going to tell you the whole, everything that's there. Now we're going to have a lot of information that we don't need right now for our subject, but it's going to tell us also what was from the west to the east. We're not interested in that right now. We want to know from the south to the north. But we have this bonus over here. We're going to know also from the west to the east. Let's start from the east, going westward, and we're going to see how you have 187. The first, over here, you see, maybe we'll make it a little bit bigger over here. Ezra. Am Yisrael is allowed to go. They're not allowed to go further unless they have to bring a carbon or something, but that's where they're allowed to stand. And then you go another 11 amos. Malcolm Dries Ragli Kohanim, another 11 amos. You see, as there's Kohanim over there, that's where Kohanim are allowed to go. The Kohanim are allowed to go a bit further than the Israelim. Then the Mizbeach itself was 32 amos. Malcolm Mizbeach Shloshim Mushtayim. The Mizbeach itself was 32. And then Ben Ulam V'Lam Mizbeach. This picture is not proportionate because this is 22. That's not so proportionate to the Mizbeach is 32. But okay, we'll forgive the picture. This is another 22 amos, still the Ulam. And then the Beis Hamikdash itself is 100 amos. From the beginning until the end of the Beis Hamikdash is 100 amos. Heichal Kuf Amos. Heichal means not only the Heichal itself, it means everything. The Ulam, the Heichal, the Kodesh HaKadoshim, the walls behind, that's all 100 amos. And then 11 amos more, Yud Aleph amos, Achor Beis HaPores, behind the Beis Hamikdash was another 11 amos that was in the Azara, and altogether that's 187. You do the Cheshbon? The Cheshboning it? 187. We had what we have. We had, and now I'll do it again. We had 11 and 11.
22
and 32
is 54.
and 22
4 is
66.
76.
100
176.
and 11
187.
187.
We
Okay,
got it.
Okay.
Perfect.
That's 187. And now we go. That wasn't a gear to us. Now we're going to talk about the east to west, and we want to see if the Mizbeach is centered. So here goes the Mishnah. Min Adoram Litzofon, going from south to west. So it's interesting that it doesn't start from the south. It's going to start from the ram, from the foot of the ram, and we're going to come back to the area between the southern wall and the ram. So it says, Min Adoram Litzofon Meyo Shloshim V'Chomesh. Altogether, the whole width was 135,
From where to where?
south to west.
Hmm.
I do have, I think I have,
Inside the,
Go ahead, please, Khalid Yaakov, please. I have one more diagram that I'll show as we go along, just to get a general picture. If you have something, I'd like to see it. Let's go finish the Gemara one time, and then we'll see more. But here it says that the Mishnah, as we read the Mishnah, the whole width of the Beis Hamikdash was 135 of the Chatzah.
from where? Can you just point to from where to where?
South to north,
To the wall.
from wall to wall was 135.
Oh, no,
And why do
no,
we
no.
start?
Oh,
Akebesh, what's the matter?
my battery.
Okay. From south to north. Right there. You have it very good. Yeah. From south to north.
Right.
This whole wall is the whole area of the courtyard was 135. Now we're going to break it down. But we don't start from the rim, from the wall. We start from the rim. We'll come back to the area that we missed, left out. We'll come back to it later. But it says min hakevish v'mizbech shisha mushtayim. The ramp and the mizbech together was 62. We had before that mizbech was 32 plus the ramp altogether another 30, and it comes out 62. Mizbech tabos, the area we have here all these rings. That's where they would slaughter the animals. So till you got there, it was another 8 amos. The picture doesn't seem to be so proportionate, but okay. So there's 8 amos, and then the place of the tabos itself was 24. The place of the rings I said rings. The rings was 24 amos, and then the next space till we got to the tables was 4 amos. Then between the tables and the nanasin were like small marble, I think, posts that they would be able to hang the animal on when they would have to skin it. So it tells you the space between till the tables, and then from the tables until the nanasin. The picture over here shows the tables between the nanasin. It doesn't seem to be accurate with the way the Gemara is saying over here. But first they were tables, like the white tables that they make, and then they were nanasin. And it says, doesn't tell you the dimensions of the tables itself. Rashi says that was 4, and then the space between the tables and the nanasin were another 4, and then min nanasin lakosel, it doesn't tell you how big the nanasin are either. And then it says from the nanasin until the wall was another 8 amos. Min nanasin lakosel azara is ches amos. So it left out the table. Rashi says that was 4 amos. He doesn't. The Gemara doesn't say. Rashi goes in the Gemara that is 4 amos, and it left out 2 more things. It left out the area of the nanasin themselves, and also left out at the beginning the distance between the southern wall and the ram. So whatever the Gemara says, whatever's left over till the 135, divided between the southern wall and the ram and the nanasin. So Rashi makes the cheshbon that if we add all this up, we're missing 25. It says we get till 110. All these things, 64 plus 4 plus 24 plus 4. I'm sorry, is that a 4? Yeah, again a 4, and then another 4 for the tables, another 4 between, and then the 8 that takes you to the. So we have 110, and we started with 135. So Rashi says take off 4 for the table. That's 120. That's they have 21 left, and the 21 divide between the nanasin and the area between the southern wall and the ramp. That's 11 and a half, 10 and a half to each one, 10 and a half. So now let's go on to the diagram of our scroll, and they number it for you. Here it is on the thing. So here you have the mizbeach, which is 62. So let's start all the way from the. We don't really have to start from the sub. Let's do everything. Then we'll see what we need. It says 10 and a half amos until the ramp, then 62 for the mizbeach and the ramp, and then 8 till the tabos, 24 for the tabos, 4 until the tables, 4 for the tables, 4 until the nanasin, 10 and a half for the nanasin, and then 8 till the northern wall. So if you count up from the mizbeach, from the northern wall of the mizbeach until the northern wall of the courtyard, it comes out to be 62 and a half. And as we see on the diagram, it's not centered. The mizbeach is not centered. If it would have been centered, it would have been like 52, something like that, 51, 52. It would have been around there if it would have been centered. But you see that it's not centered. That's the Gemara's kasha. That's what the Gemara says. You can't say that al Mishnah Midas is Rav Yehuda, because then it would have been it wouldn't have been this cheshbon. The way it is now, it's not centered. So you have to say back to what we said. So why couldn't the mizbeach would not be blocking? What does the Gemara want me to say? That if it's off to the south a little bit, like we're saying, like 10 amos, it's off. It's to the south. So then the mizbeach would not be blocking. So the kasha comes back again. How come they made the eastern get shorter? It must be because of Rav Elazar ben Yaakov that the terrain went up by 1 amma. Just to see the Gemara inside the last couple of lines. V'sakadaitach midos Rabbi Yehudi mizbech b'emsa azorni meshkachas la abu b'dem mizbech b'daram kol. If the Mishnah is going according to Rabbi Yehuda, so then it doesn't come out that the mizbech is in the center. It's not, because it's most of it is in the south. It's not centered. It's more to the south. Allah, top line, Allah Shami no, Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. Back to what Shami knows. That's a good proof. What we said before, it is a good proof that the Mishnah Midas that says that you can't see through the eastern gate and you have to therefore lower the eastern gate is because the Mishnah is going according to Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov that terrain was elevated by 1 hour. Rabbi Yaakov, if you have any diagrams that will be helpful, we would appreciate it. Let me just get this off and.
Okay, yeah, just this last one that you did in terms of the width from the south to the north is it's the same thing, but it's in color and that's all.
Yeah, nicer. So that shows you 8 and then 24. 4, 4, 4.
8 and 24 here. These are the fourths like that. What do you call these? What are these things? The ananas?
The word ananas means like a midget. That's what usually means. It means that there were short poles that they were able to hang the animal on. After it was shechted, they were able to hang the animal in order to take off the skin, as they do nowadays also. When they skin the animal, they hang it up.
And what were the tables for then?
Tables that Rashi says to clean. Rashi says to clean. I think they cut it while it was hanging, but to clean the kibayim, to clean the intestines, not to be cleaned out. So they cleaned it up. They cleaned it on a kerev akrayim, that they cleaned it on those tables.
And we assume the tables are higher than these stumps. Is that the idea?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. The stumps are high because they were used to hang the animals. To hang the animals. I think some do say that they were. I think, but this is fit with what it says it over here. That some say that they would hang the animal on these nanasin, and then they would lean the animal, like the bottom of the animal won't be hanging straight down. It would be on the table. But I don't see that right here. The way he says it over here is that they were pretty far. You had maybe even 2 rows of tables, and then the nanasin came. So Rashi says it was used in order to wash the parts that had to be washed.
One thing that I have a kasha on this picture is over here. If this is going to be where they can see through, but they have the curtain in the way here. That's just lavdavka.
That's what. First of all, they could open the curtain, and also it could be the Pesach Chol Moed. The fact that it's even if the door is closed, if the curtain is closed, it could be that they would.
As long as they can see the entrance.
Opposite the entrance, or it could be you're right. They'd have to open it up when they did the paraduma. They would have to open it up. Could be. Okay. Everything good? Is everybody happy with everything?
Could you quickly go through the 135, if you don't mind, just to give me
135.
the measure of north to west, north to east.
North.
South. No, it's north to south, south to north.
You have it on the
only on this diagram, yeah.
On the diagram.
So starting from the north, or
so starting from the south.
South. Okay.
So you have the space between the southern wall and the ramp is 10 and a half amos. And then the ramp together with the mizbeach was 62. And then after that, there was an 8 amos space.
Where?
Until the tavos, which is a space of 24 amos.
8, okay.
8, and then the amos, the tavos themselves were 24. And then the space of 4 amos. And then the tables themselves took up 4 amos.
That's 4 to the tables.
Then the 4 amos from the tables until the nanasim.
You have 2 lines of tables in the nasim. You have 2 lines of each.
Whatever. That's what I was saying. That's not clear over there.
So it's 4 and 4.
There's a 4 space from the rings until the tables is a place of 4.
Right.
The tables themselves are 4. The space from the tables to the nanasim is another 4. 4, 4, and 4. Then it goes 10 and a half amos for the nanasim.
How much? 10 and a
10
half.
and a half. And then 8 amos until the northern wall. That gives you a total of 1.
I don't see the 8.
The last one is a space of 8.
From the nanasim, it is 10 and 8.
The nanasim themselves is 10 and a half.
Oh, I
the space
see,
of the
I
nanasim is
see.
10 and a half, and then the space from the nanasim until the wall is 8. Okay, thank you, everybody, and we'll be coming back on in about 6 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Why does the Gemara put in so much effort to know who the Tana of Mishnah of Mishnah Midas?
I think the point is what the Gemara started with, to answer the contradiction. There was a contradiction. That's how the whole sugi started. That there was a contradiction between Talmud and Midos. So the Gemara said the Shav Elazar ben Yaakov when it came out with 2 proofs, and the 2 proofs are good. 2 good proofs. One is that he says, I don't know what the Lishkas, the south western Lishka of the base of the Ezra's Nashim is used for. In fact, they said, I don't know. That means easy proof. That means that he's talking. And the other one was this cheshbon that the eastern wall had to be short in order to be able to have a straight vision into the Pesach HaEchel. Must be that that the terrain was elevated 1 amma by the Ezra's Kohanim, or else he could have made the vision through the eastern gate. The Gemara tries to slug it up to say that the Mizbech was blocking. The Gemara says that's good according to Rabbi Yehuda, but our Mishnah, the Mishnayos don't hold like Rabbi Yehuda. They hold that the Mizbech was off to the south, and it would not have blocked the line of vision. It must be that's Rabbi Yaakov.
Oh, very good. Yeshukayach.
Thank you, everybody. We're getting mamish a lot of suggestions about kachim. It could be that also the Gemara brings in. I think I remember Kaplan used to say whenever the Gemara has needs a platform to talk about taurus or kachim, so it takes the opportunity to.
I was just listening to a shir today. He stole to a Rashi here. I forgot which Rashi it was. Rashi said that even though it's not, I was sugi bringing it because there's no other place to talk about it. It's mamish what Rebbe Kaplan said.
Rashi says it by us over here, but Rashi just says that Rashi by us that he says that he just says that this kind of a sugya, but I just would add on that the fact that it's kachim or taurus, maybe that's what you mean to say. There's no other place because there's no Gemara. There is Gemara in kachim, but there's not Gemara on Maseches Midos. So maybe it took the opportunity to do it over here.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Yeshukach.
Thank you. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be doing pick it over soon.